Okay, back to lessons. Lesson 33. Let's give a hand to lessons. Like the video. Yeah, okay. Wait, like the video down here.
To see more.
Hit the like button.
Huh?
Punch that like subscribe right over here.
Click here to subscribe.
Click here for the last video.
Click here for the last video.
Actually, don't click there. I wouldn't do anything, so. Anyways, I am recording.
You should do that.
You know, everything you're saying right now, Mike, is on the lesson too.
That'd be fun.
Hi, Mom.
I didn't do it.
Okay, anyways. Okay, let's focus. We're all happy about the lesson. Okay, so we're going to build on stuff that we already worked on. Remember SADMET problems a few weeks ago? Where you had to work things out backwards, right? And then you have to justify your steps. Remember what's one of the steps? We had addition property of equality, right? Was one of the justifications, right? And we had properties. Let's say we had a problem look like this: 3x plus 1 is equal to 4, right? We asked you to draw a fence, right? Okay. Watch up here. Here's what's different today. We're doing the exact same thing, except this is what's different. Look at this equal sign. I'm going to erase the equal sign and put in an inequality. Did y'all see that? That's all we're doing today, and we're going to do the same thing we used to do, except there's one new step. Step 3, you're going to just keep an eyeball on this step, just one eyeball. No. Keep an eye up here, okay? And that's all we're doing. But watch what happens here. If I change this to an inequality from an equal sign, look what happens up here. What does it say? Addition property of equality. But is this an equal sign? No, so look what I'm going to do with my properties now. Instead of putting equality, I'm going to put inequality. Okay? Do you see? So we're just changing a couple things because we have two different things. We have equations and we have inequalities. So we're using the same types of properties except they're a little bit different. Okay? Here we go. So these are the steps. If you're on the video, write these down. In class, they're right up here. You should have them written down. Here we go. Number one, we got 1 minus p plus 4 is greater than or equal to 2. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to rewrite this underneath. Oh, sorry, I went too fast there. I'm going to write this underneath here. And I want to combine like terms, okay? So I have this p in the middle here, just like we used to do. So we want to combine like terms. 1 and 4 becomes 5. I'm using the substitution property, okay? And then I'm asking myself, what can I do next? Are there any subtraction signs by the p? Nope. Any addition signs? Yeah, we have a plus 5. What's the opposite of plus 5? Minus 5 on both sides. You get negative p is going to be greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay? Then I ask myself, oh, look, there's this negative sign in front. This is really like saying negative 1 times p, right? What's the opposite of multiplying by negative 1? Dividing by negative 1, right? So I'm going to divide both sides. But look what I did. When I divide by a negative sign, and we kind of looked at this yesterday, look what happened to my inequality. It went from greater than or equal to or to less than or equal to. This is the new rule. Look up here. If you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, flip the inequality sign. Do you see how I divided by a negative number on both sides? I have to flip the inequality sign. Okay? Negative 1's cancel out. Negative 3 divided by negative 1 is positive 3. And here's your answer. P is less than or equal to 3. Now we're going to do what we did yesterday. Eyes up here. Eyes up here. Eyes up here. We do what we did yesterday. We got 3. We're going to circle it. Okay? And just as a review, we fill it in. And it's less than, so it's going to the left. Okay? That's how you do number 1. Questions? Do y'all see how it's all coming together a little bit here? Okay? Good. Number 2. Yeah.
How did the sign change?
How did it change? Because we divided by a negative number on both sides. And over here, it's a new step.
Okay.
He's right. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is a new step. We didn't worry about this step before because what happens when you flip an equal sign? What happens when you flip an equal sign? It stays the same, right? So we never notice the difference, right? But we do notice one inequality. Okay. Makes sense? Okay? I like that. I like hearing that. Oh, for teachers, when we hear that, we're really excited. It means you're learning. Okay? Number 2, we got 3x minus 11 is greater than or equal to negative 2 times 1 minus 3x. Now, oh, it's greater than. Thank you. So, we have x's on both sides. So, can I divide both sides by negative 2 on this one? Review. Can we divide both sides by negative 2 here?
No.
No. We're going to have to use what property first? Distributive property. I'm going to erase first one. Oh, and I forgot on number 1. Totally forgot how to talk about this. Number 1, I had to put the, forgot to put the justification on each one, right? We use the subtraction property of inequality, and then what did I use here when I divided? Division property of inequality, okay? So that's number 1. Okay, jumping back to number 2. Okay, so number 2, we got 3x minus 11 is greater than negative 2 times 1 minus 3x. So I'm using the distributive property. So I'm going to still bring down greater than, and I'm distributing negative 2 into each of these. So it's going to be negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 3x is positive 6x. Okay? All my x's are on both sides of my inequality. So I want my x's on one side, so I'm going to subtract 6x on both sides. So I want to use the distributive property, of course. Give me a moment. Let me get this really quick. Okay, so I've subtracted 6x on both sides, and that was the subtraction property of inequality. Okay, and then I asked myself, what's by the x? Are there any subtraction signs by the x? Yeah, I'm subtracting 11, so I want to do the opposite. So I'm going to add 11 on both sides using the addition property of inequality. Okay, and then we have this negative 3 being multiplied with x. So what's the opposite of multiplying by negative 3? Dividing. When I divide by negative, what do I need to do? Flip the sign. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to divide by both sides by negative 3. And this greater than, look what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to change it to a less than. So x is less than negative 3. And this is the division property of inequality. Okay, so I'm going to go up to my answer now, graph negative 3. And it's going to be an open circle. I'm not filling it. And it is pointing to the left. Good? Make sense? Good. Okay. So let's do one more as a class, number 5. I'm going to erase 6. So I want you to do this by yourself, but do it in your notebook. So I want 3 things on here. I want you to work out the problem. I want you to justify the steps, and I want you to graph it, okay? So work it out in your notebook, and then your final answer is going to go on your iPads, okay? I'll give you about 2 minutes. Ready, set, silly mistake. So here you go. First thing you want to do, I'm going to make it go quickly. So I rewrote it. I subtracted 610 on both sides. And then I added 32 on both sides. And then I divide by negative 10. What happens when you divide by negative? Switches the sign. You see that? So n is, there you go. Okay, raise your hand if you got it right. A lot of people did. Raise your hand if you made a silly mistake at one point and you should have fixed it. Okay, good. So we're all growing here, right? No one's going to be perfect. But if you make mistakes, ask yourself, how did I get it wrong? And try to fix it, okay? That's it. That concludes this lesson.